Yeah, moving on to Zefeng. So, Zefeng, in view of our theme for today's webinar, I would like to ask you, how would you advise young entrepreneurs or startups or small and medium-sized enterprises who might be seeking investments and has RSVP.ai ever seeked investment or underwent funding? So, what was your experience about that? Basically, I want to know some tips for entrepreneurs in getting the right funding for their startups and protecting their intellectual property at the same time.
Okay, so thank you for the question. First, I'd like to add my 2 cents to Travis' the answers. So actually, I think Travis has made a very good point about these fast iterations about startups. This is very important because for the medium to large companies, you have this profit or the funding pools to support a long-term researches or very golden standard software and standard, so that you can have a pretty longer time for developing a very beautiful product or software or pipeline stuff. But for the startups, this is not true, because for the startups, well, all you do is that you have a very sparkling idea in a very tiny points,
True.
and you are focusing on a plan of the vast which you is unknown and you haven't stepped into. When you get that problem, you know what the problem is, and it's beyond your imagination. And what you can do is try to do bring this real problem and difficulty inside by do a fast iteration from your customer service, the feedback, the data, their requirements, their problems, and you try to merge the gap between your imagination and your plotting. So quickly adapt your plotting and the pipeline and even your way of the management and the architecture design to fit into that the real scenario. So this is very important for fast pacing stuff. So I think Travis made a very good point, and that's my added with the 2 cents. And back to the problem of how a startup should look at the investments. This is a very good question because investors look at the startups at different ways. Some investors look at them, I think is, well, I'm not an expert of this part, but on my side of view, to look at the investments, they look at the potentials. Some look at the how I can get the market profit view. There is a balance of this, how I can extract the most profit of a startup, of how I can grow this startup to the even bigger one, so that I can try to raise it until I can make to do the final harvest or do something later. So this is a two different scenario of this part. When a startup look at the investor, I think one very important aspect is that how are you going to look at the startup's own resources? Because when a startup, they are when they're very young, so this field is pretty big, and you want to grow it in next 18 months is in exponential index. So you have to utilize the resources, every resource you can, and sometimes investors can bring the resources you needed, because those resources can take you longer than you think the time to accumulate, to build relationships, to collect orders with the customers, or even has knowing knowledge in the extensive related fields, so that those resources brought in by the investor itself can be very beneficial to the startups. So this is one part. The second part is that try to understand what the investors really they are looking for. Are they trying to grow your startup to a certain stage, try to sell it to another bigger company, or are you trying to really look at what's your strength of this startup, and what's the weakness of the startup? Was it has a potential to grow into a full cycle, and with our aspect can stand alone and try to grow by itself stuff. So this is what you expect you need to do to see a best fit for your startup, the long-term strategy versus the goal of the investors. So that's my 2 points of the things I had to point out. Thank you.
Yes, thanks for simplifying it further for us and sharing those most important 2 points with us. So